everybody. Welcome back to episode 46 of the Talkoffamepod podcast with your host, Kylie Montigney. I'm so excited to have on the upcoming singer-songwriter, Savannah Rae. Thanks so much for coming on, Savannah.
Hi, thank you so much for having me.
Of course. So you are a singer-songwriter. What kind of made you want to start doing that?
Yeah, so I would probably have to give that one to my parents. They introduced me to music, all different types of music at such a young age that they kind of helped foster my love and appreciation for music. And they started taking me to concerts when I was around 10 or 11. And I remember specifically I went to an Evanescence concert when I was 11. And I told my mom that I wanted to be just like the lead singer. Her name is Amy Lee. She's incredible. And I told her that that's what I want to do. That's what I want to be. And thankfully, my parents took me seriously. And so they enrolled me into vocal and guitar lessons. And it just kind of stuck. I fell in love with it. And here we are now, like 10 years later.
That's awesome. Like, do you have like a favorite concert that you went to so far as your career? Do you have like a favorite kind of concert that you went to?
That's a really good question. I would say my favorite concert that I've been to is probably a Motley Crue and Kiss concert. I'm also big into the rock side of things as well. That one was super super cool. And my favorite concerts are probably ones that I haven't been to yet,
Yeah.
honestly. Like George Strait is my favorite of all time, and I haven't been to one of his concerts, but my other favorite is Co Wetzel. I have been to his, have been to a few of his, so I would say probably those. Probably
No,
Co
that's
Wetzel and Motley
awesome. Like,
Crue.
are you like, as you kind of like a country singer, do you like country music as well, or just kind of like not as much as like country music fan?
Um, I I think that country is always going to be my number one. It's what I've been listening to since I pretty much came out the womb. Like the first job I ever wanted was I wanted to be a horse trainer. I wanted to, train horses for a living. Didn't end up doing that, obviously, but I do country music now. But I say my second most listened to genre, and I take like a lot of influence from as well as rock music. So, but I mean, I love everything. I really do. I love everything, and I've done a lot of different types of music in my life. Thankfully, I have just I've been everywhere from rock to pop to even like some Broadway stuff that I've done. So it's been fun, but I think the main is always going to be country music and with a little hints of rock and stuff here and there.
Yeah, same here. I'm really into everything like pop, country, Broadway, and all those things
Sure.
and everything. So music has always kind of been a huge part of my life. I was literally listening to country music before. I've been really into country music over the last year, and like I just became a fan of country music. I'm like the same kind of exact person because like
Mhm.
I like my always my favorite concerts are when I see them for the first time. Like
Right.
I'm a big Walker Hayes fan, so I'll be seeing him next month, and he'll probably become my favorite concert I ever been to, even though I've been to like a bunch of concerts.
Sure. That's awesome. That's awesome.
So, like as you kind of mentioned before, you rolled into vocal and guitar lessons at Grammy Award-winning Michael Morris's Rockstar Academy. What was your
Mhm.
experience taking lessons down there?
Yeah, I mean, it was great because I was really, really young. I didn't really know much about anything when it came to music. And so having somebody, that has obviously done music a lot before. He's won a Grammy. So having people on my side when I was so young to kind of teach me kind of just the basics of what I needed to know. And it was a great like, jumping off platform for my later years. And it was really fun too because me and a bunch of different other people my age, we kind of, formed a band per se, and we would do fun like little recordings and music videos and go out on the town and play and stuff. And the first time I ever performed on stage was actually with them when I was around 12 years old. And after that, I kind of just fell in love with music. Like I knew that at that point in time that that's what I wanted to do for the rest of my life.
Oh, I love that. Like music has always kind of been a huge part of basically everyone's life since the pandemic started. It's kind of something people are getting probably getting into more and more, depending on each day and what genre they like. But like as you kind of as the pandemic kind of grew, how do you think the music industry has kind of changed since like the pandemic started?
Yeah, it's been really, really rough. Um, yeah, I mean, it kind of decimated the entire music industry as a whole. But I had about I was supposed to be on the road like 245 days out of the year of 2020. I was supposed to be playing shows all the time, and I think I maybe got through two or three shows until everything got canceled. And, that kind of forced me to go back to the drawing board because there wasn't anything to do. Nothing was open, everything was closed, quarantine, all that stuff. And so as artists, I think that most of us had to pretty much just go back to the drawing board and figure out how can we stay relevant? How can we stay, creating material? How can we stay like in people's minds as far as our music goes without not playing, not actually getting out there and playing. And so I think that that's where social media, comes in. And I'm speaking for like every single artist because I know it's the exact same for everyone. But, I did, a lot of live streams on just so many different platforms. I did like virtual concerts from my house. I just tried to upload content to social media as much as I could just to keep myself out there. Even if it is on the internet and whatnot, I think that you can actually reach a lot more people on the internet, just with, how quickly things spread, and things spread like wildfire. It's crazy, especially on TikTok now. TikTok's a huge one for that. And I think that that's kind of when TikTok really took off, is during the quarantine kind of era, because we didn't have anything else to do, And so, but I think social media plays probably the biggest role in keeping us some sort of relevant and in putting our music out there and getting ears on our music, even though we couldn't really do much. So it was definitely an interesting time, and the entertainment industry probably took one of the biggest hits, I'd say.
Yeah, for sure. The pandemic really was basically hard for everyone because like we didn't know what to do. Like we couldn't see our family. Like we couldn't do things we were used to doing. And like we
Right.
couldn't go to concerts, performing. We couldn't really do anything except basically watching television. Like that's
Right.
really the only thing we can do. And so like we basically for songwriters, like for everyone, basically I'll say is like most of the time they just wrote songs, and like the last kind of 2 years they released more songs that they wouldn't have released
Mhm.
like in past years before even COVID. Like this is like the most songs they recorded and
Right.
basically put out in, before COVID opened. So like it was basically a big kind of deal for everyone. But like what I always say like the quarantine has kind of impacted your music and how much like your like the pandemic has hit your music. Like how much has it changed for you?
Yeah, I mean, heck, I said we couldn't do much during that whole quarantine part, and even after we were technically, out of quarantine, whatever, is that everything was still closed. Everything, wasn't open. And so I was like, okay, well, I guess we're gonna use this time to write a lot of new music and record a lot of new music, get in the studio as much as possible, so that whenever things do open up, I can just hit the ground running instead of trying to play catch up and then start writing my stuff, and then recording my stuff. Like, I wanted to have a bunch of new material kind of coming out of the gate, and I have so many songs even from 2020 that I haven't released yet, like so many, a ton, that I'm finally getting a chance to release now, probably within the next few weeks. I'd say that it's very exciting to finally be able to release stuff that I wrote, a year and a half ago or whatnot. So I'm really excited about it for sure.
Yeah, for sure. So a couple years back, you got to open for Jason Elderman at Texas State Fair back in 2016. What was it like for you to open for him?
Yeah, I mean, Jason is such an incredible artist. I look up to him because he has a lot of the sounds, like sonically, that I also have. A lot of that. It's country music, but it's rock music. He has so many just just really rockin' songs, and I love that. I love that so much. And so he's also just so good at what he does and is a huge name, in the industry. Everyone knows who Jason Aldean is, and he's
Yeah.
made that name for himself. And it's just to open up for an artist of that caliber is just such an honor, and especially too at the Texas State Fair. I mean, I've been going to the Texas State Fair since I can remember. I'm a Texas girl through and through, and so to perform on such a stage as that was just insane, and it's probably one of my favorite things that I've ever done for sure.
Oh, that's awesome. Like, were you born in Texas or you?
Yes.
Oh, that's
Yeah, I was
awesome.
born in Texas. I was born in San Antonio.
Oh, that's awesome. I'm a Pennsylvania girl, so I'm way up there. That was a
I
nice.
used to live in Pennsylvania, so
Oh, really? What part?
Doylestown?
Oh, really? I live kind of not that up from there. I live in like Strand, Wilkes-Barre area a little bit.
Yeah, okay.
We
Yeah,
kind of
yeah,
live
I
up
used to
there.
live there. I've lived in like 15 different states. So me and my family have been moving around since I can remember, but originally from Texas. I'm from a little was born in San Antonio, but from a little small town kind of outside of it called Bernie.
Oh, that's nice. So you recently came out with a song called "Typical Texas Girl." What kind of inspired you to write that song?
So, typical Texas girl is kind of an homage to the fact that girls from Texas, and I'll speak for a lot of us as well, and myself, that we're always kind of dressed up. We're always dressed to the nines. I always say that Dolly Parton should have been from Texas because she kind of embodies the Texas spirit and how we're very over the top and extra with our outward appearance. And but I think that with that comes a lot of judging us. You're judging a book by its cover on what we look like, and I think that my Texas gals out there are just some of the strongest, hardworking ladies that I've ever met. And so I wanted to kind of pay homage to them in a really fun way called Typical Texas Girl. It's kind of sarcastic, like, oh yeah, I am a typical Texas girl, but I'm also this, this, and this, which makes us pretty special. And I had the honor and privilege of writing that with country music legend Pam Tillis. She's incredible, and so we wrote that also with my buddy Jesse Isley and Britton Cameron, and it's a really fun song. And I got to shoot the music video on a beautiful farm out in Texas as well. So it was a really good one. It was a really good one. It's definitely one of my favorite ones that I've released thus far.
Oh, I love it. So do you have anyone they look up to as a singer-songwriter, or just kind of in general?
Yeah, I would say that as far as my influences go, I'm influenced by so many different things and so many different people, but if I had to like categorize myself as, who I am and what I sound like and kind of my musical style, these three people have zero to do with each other, literally zero. But George Strait, Miranda Lambert, and Co Wetzel, which is just those have nothing to do with each other. Although I think George and Miranda have sang together a
Yeah.
few times and whatnot. But somewhere in the middle of all of them, you'll find me. I'm country with an edge. I'm country rock, and I find a lot of influence from those three artists. Specifically, just Miranda Lambert is one of my favorites. I'm very blessed and honored to be an ambassador for her clothing company, Idlewind, so I get to wear her cute clothes on stage. But also, she's one of the few females that I've just like really connected with, and I'm like, yeah, she's super cool. And
Mhm.
so her style for sure, a lot of her edgier stuff is like my music, and I'm like, yeah, that's awesome. And then but still that traditional country like George Strait, and still that country alternative like Co Wetzel. And like I said, somewhere in the middle you'll find me.
Yeah, for sure. Miranda Lambert is one of the best in country music in our like basically our both for generation. But did you ever meet her since you're in her clothing line, or you never met her?
I haven't had the chance to meet her yet, no, so hopefully we can get something working soon.
Yeah, for sure. I literally obsessed with Miranda Lambert. Like if you listen to country music song, you automatically know it's Miranda Lambert. Like I
Yeah.
can automatically choose if it's Miranda Lambert or not. But since we're in the new year, what are your goals to achieve in 2022?
I have a lot. I actually created a mood board, a dream board, whatever you want to call it, for 2022. And I have a lot of goals. Obviously stuff that I want to do kind of just like in my life, such as playing the Ryman, playing the Opry, going to the CMAs, all of that stuff that people really look up to, which I don't know if that's going to happen in 2022. I mean, fingers crossed it does.
Yeah.
But opening up for people, I would love to open up for Jason Aldean again. I would love to open up for Miranda, for Co, any of those people as well. And then, just playing all over the place as much as I can. I want to cross off kind of like my bucket list. I think I have like 6 more states to go to on my Continental 48. So
Mhm.
I want to cross off all those states, getting to play in those states as well, and just touring as much as possible. I think is my number one, just because 2020. 2021 as well. We didn't get to do much of that, unless you were a bigger artist in 2021. So gotta make up for the past 2 years.
Yeah, like the last 2 years, like it was kind of hard to travel for basically everyone due to COVID mandates and all those things. So it was kind of hard to travel for basically everybody. And
Right.
since you couldn't travel the country, you can then go to other countries and do like visit family and all those things and everything. So that was basically a goal for me. I kind of wanted to last year, but I never. We only
Yeah.
went to like one state and traveled like once last year, so never kind of got that possible. But hopefully
Yeah.
2020 is better for us to travel. But when you're writing a song, what do you usually focus on first, the music or the lyrics?
I say that every song is different, and it honestly really is. Sometimes I will pick some chords out on my guitar when I'm sitting down, writing and stuff, and I'll pick some that I like the sound of, whatever tone that I'm going towards, like, oh, I want to write about, someone that did me wrong. So, it's gonna sound like a little bit like mad per se. I'm gonna pick some chords that kind of match that. Sometimes I will just write a whole bunch of ideas on a piece of paper and then kind of see what exactly I'm even like talking about and then go, and create some music and go put some chords around it. Especially it's different too when you get into co-writes and stuff when you're writing with other people. Sometimes they'll have an idea, music wise, sometimes they'll have an idea lyric wise, and then you're like, okay, cool, let's do that. And even sometimes I'll have some of my producers, they know me pretty well, and so they're like, "Hey, what do you think about this music? What do you think about this sort of like lyric like this?" And they'll send it to me, and I'm like, "Okay, let's work on it." So it's I think that every single song is different when I'm writing by myself, and especially when I'm writing with other people. And but I do love to write with other people. I actually might prefer it. I'm not entirely sure. They're pretty 50-50 for me. But it's just so fun to be able to write with other people because I always say that two minds are better than one, three minds, four minds, depending on how many people you got in the room. But
Yeah.
other people can come up with such great ideas that maybe I didn't come up with, or, something that they say kind of turns something in my mind and I'm like, "Oh, what about this?" So, I really do like writing with other people, but as far as myself, it will be like 4 a.m. and something will just come to my mind. I'm like, voice note real fast. So,
Yeah, so it's like different kind of moods, like different time of day, basically.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so the final question for the interview is what is some advice for younger generations that like to become a singer-songwriter one day?
Yeah, I definitely say always stay true to yourself and always stay true to who you are as an artist, to what you want to say and the type of music that you want to make. I've been doing music, like I said, since I was 12 years old, professionally, and I've done everything under the sun from pop to rock to R&B, I told you all that. And so, but with that comes a lot of people in the industry that kind of pressure you to go certain ways, like, oh, you would sound really good if you did this, you would sound really good if you did this. And I was a young kid, I'm 15 years old. I don't know, I just like music, I like singing and I like performing, and that's about as much as I thought about it. I'm young and impressionable, and that's pretty much it. But a lot of people will try to sway you to do certain things,
Yeah.
like, you need to sing this song, you need to perform here. I'm like, okay, sure, whatever you say, Mr. Manager. And so I think it's really easy to lose yourself when you're so young, especially, if you're just starting off as young as I did. And so I think that as I've gotten older, I've really put my foot down on, nah, man, like, this is me, this is what I want to say, this is what I want my music to sound like, and I'm not kind of differentiating from that at all. And so it's taken a good amount of time to put a good team around me that really get the vision and get where I'm going and stuff. I'm really glad, don't get me wrong, I'm really glad that I had some of those rather unfortunate experiences back in the day because they shaped, me to be who I am today and kind of be really certain about what I want to do. But it was still rather unfortunate, to have people just on your case all the time, like, this is what you're gonna do. And I'm like, ooh. So, but I would just say, stay true to yourself, stay true to who you are, all your values, all your morals, all that good stuff. And it ultimately comes down to the music and what you want to say, and you want to make sure that it's a good reflection of you and who you are. So I would say be yourself all the time, 24/7.
Yeah, for sure. Like as a kind of like a woman or a young girl in general, it's kind of hard in the industry because you feel people always kind of pressure you to do this, do that. You have to do this, or and you have to basically look
Yeah.
kind of good to be popular and people to like you. That's
Yeah,
one of
it's really hard to because you'll work with people who you think are very esteemed in the industry, or they have all this list of credits and whatnot, and sure, they may have a ton of experience, and I would never discount, anybody who has a lot more experience than I do. I'm still young, I'm still learning, and but there comes a point to where you're like, I need to, separate myself from that, just because it's maybe they just have a different vision for you,
yeah,
and that might not be the vision that you see for yourself, and that's totally fine. I don't think any way is wrong and whatnot, but staying true to who you are and staying true to yourself and what you want, I think is probably going to be so much better for you in the long run too, because you wouldn't compromise your integrity for anything. Like if someone wants you to do this song that they really like, that they're like, this is the song, you're like, nope, that's not it, and so
yeah,
it's hard to say no, but I think that it's necessary, when you're talking about integrity and all of that good stuff. So always stay true to yourself. That's my number one piece of advice.
me too. So I just want to thank you so much for coming on this podcast. It means so much. You're amazing. I'm so glad to have you on. And keep doing what you were doing because you're amazing at what you do. Just keep going. And so thank you so much for coming on. We'll definitely speak soon for sure. Thanks so much.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
Of course. Thanks so much. Bye.
Bye.